What's going on, folks? Ted from Immersion here, and we continue on our Fizban's Treasury of Dragons coverage, this time talking about the new Monk subclass, the Monk way of the Ascendant Dragon Monk. Before we get started, I have two things to say. One, if you like what I'm doing here and like this kind of coverage, consider subscribing to the channel. It's a simple click, not a lot for you, does a lot for me. And two, look at how they massacred my boy. I loved this subclass so much, and I feel like it got fixed in several ways that were unnecessary, and they fixed things that weren't broken, and then made them marketedly unplayable, possibly. Now, there are some changes that are in a boon, if you will, but they were things I didn't think needed to be touched. But it is what it is. It's a little upsetting for me as someone who's currently playing one, and our kind of general consensus, and I'd also love to hear about it from you folks in the comments. If you are playing in a campaign and your DM allows you to do playtest material, and you're playing, say, something like the Way of Ascendant Dragon Monk, and you've been enjoying it, you've been playing it for 12 sessions, let's say, and all of a sudden the final updated printed version does release, do you immediately switch over to that? Do you have the conversation with your DM? Because I also feel like it kind of goes both ways, right? Like in my instance, I'm bummed about it because the final version is a nerf, in my opinion. But I guess I'd probably be going the other way and be like, let me use the new version if it was a buff. So I guess you kind of have to make that call up front. Like if there's playtest material that we're using and a finalized version does come out, we're going to switch to the finalized version, or we'll keep it what it is regardless. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. Here it is right here. It is sort of, again, a dragon-themed monk. It also has the Ascendant Dragon origin, how you came about getting these kind of powers and learning about dragons. That table was also reflected here in the Unearthed Arcana. So the first thing you get at level 3 is Draconic Disciple. Now this is one of the things that received a buff. So it says, if you fail a Charisma Intimidation or Charisma Persuasion check, you can use your reaction to reroll the check as you tap into the mighty presence of dragons. Once this feature turns a failure into a success, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest. Now what that had done previously is basically all of that. It was once, oh no, I guess it was the same. I just never read it that way. Once this feature turns a failure into a success, you can use it, can't use it again until you finish a long rest. I guess I just never read that part, so I liked that a lot. I thought that was a change. Apparently that was exactly how it always was. So it is basically, yeah, just that. It works. You can continue to use this until it turns a failure into a success. You also need to know from the DM, like, hey, I made an intimidation or a persuasion check. Did I fail? Because if I failed, I would like to use this to possibly turn it into a success, but I need to know if it was a failure. You get Draconic Strike, which remains unchanged. When you damage a target with an unarmed strike, you can change that damage to acid, cold, fire, lightning, or poison. A lot of folks were anticipating that would have been the thing that got changed. No. And Tongue of Dragons was changed in a minor amount, which I do like. It used to say, if you can't already, you learn to speak, read, and write Draconic. It now states, you learn to speak, read, and write Draconic or another language of your choice. That was a pretty simple change, one that made a lot of sense to me. And then we have our Breath of the Dragon feature here, which is when you take the attack action on your turn, you can replace one of the attacks with an exhalation of draconic energy in either a 20-foot cone or a 30-foot line, your choice. You also get to choose the damage of this when you use it, acid, cold, fire, lightning, or poison, and each creature in that area must make a dex save against your key save DC, or take damage equal to 2 rolls of your martial arts die on a failed save or half on a success. At level 11, this increases to 3 rolls of your martial arts die. You can use this feature proficiency bonus times per long rest and get all expended uses back when you finish a long rest. And it says, well, you have no uses available, meaning you've used all of your proficiency bonus times per long rest, you can spend 2 key points to use this feature again. Originally, however, all of that was the same as we saw it, except it used to be 1 key point to use it again. I'm actually okay with this change in my mind. Eventually, at higher levels, this could be a little annoying for a 1 key point use. So I'm actually okay with everything we see at 3rd level. And I'm even okay with most of the stuff at 6th level, but let's take a look. So you get Wings Unfurled. When you use your Step of the Wind, this is the monk's bonus action thing where they spend a key point to, I believe it's either, to dash, I believe it is, as a bonus action. Or maybe it's to dash or disengage. Anyway, you can unfurl spectral wings from your back that vanish at the end of your turn. While the wings exist, you have a flying speed equal to your walking speed. Very beneficial for you as you are a monk, so your walking speed will typically be higher than everybody else's. And you can use this feature a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus and gain all expended uses back when you finish a long rest. Previously, however, it had everything we just talked about, but when you had no uses available, you could spend 1 key point to activate it again when you activate the Step of the Wind feature. So there's potentially giving you the option to spend 2 key points, 1 to do Step of the Wind and 1 to do Wings Unfurled. They have removed the use of that, so it is purely limited to proficiency bonus times per long rest. And I'm okay with this one too. The fly speed equal to your walking speed, right? You get the wings for that turn. You'll have a longer than normal fly speed compared to most people because your walking speed is so much higher. And you also have the slow fall ability. So between that, your risk of encountering damage while using Wings Unfurled is pretty limited. Now, Aspect of the Worm, the level 11 ability. This is where things really took a tank, in my opinion, and I'm real bummed about it. So, you can activate your Aspect of the Worm, which is as a bonus action, you create an aura of draconic power that radiates 10 feet from you for a minute. First off, right out the gate, it used to be a radiation of 30 feet that was for a minute. So, right out the gate, we've gone from a 30-foot radius at level 11 to a 10-foot radius. Originally, you also chose acid, cold, fire, lightning, or poison damage, and for the duration, you got the following. You and your allies within that 30-foot aura at the time got resistance to the damage chosen, and then you also had this wonderful ability, which I loved, which echoed back to the Dragon Shaman of old. Waves of destructive energy flow out from you and your allies when you are attacked. When you or one of your allies in the aura is hit by an attack made by another creature within the aura, that target that was hit can use their reaction to deal an amount of damage of the chosen type that we chose earlier, acid, cold, fire, lightning, or poison, equal to 1 roll of your martial arts die. And I thought that was an amazing ability. I get that it isn't super draconic in nature, but it was very clearly sampled from the old draconic invocations that we had from back in 3.5. And yeah, it was nice because you would activate this aura. It was a nice 30-foot chunky aura, so it could get a lot of your allies in it. And it was when you or an ally was hit by an attack made by another creature, you could the target, so you or your ally could use your own reaction to deal damage equal to your martial arts die. And that was nice because that meant that you could obviously use it to protect yourself, but an ally could use it as well. And the target had the opportunity, if they don't have reaction utility, that was great. And again, at level 11, your martial arts die is a d8. So you'll be doing a d8 of whatever that damage is for free as retributive damage. Now what we get is the most useless ability, Frightful Presence. When you create this aura, and as a bonus action on subsequent turns, you can choose to target a creature within the aura. Reminder, again, the aura is now only 10 feet. The target must make a wisdom saving throw against your key save DC or become frightened of you for a minute, but they also get to repeat that saving throw at the end of each of their turns, ending the effect on a success. Or choose a type of damage, acid, cold, fire, lightning, or poison. You and your allies have resistance to that damage. Reminder, for the duration, gain 1 of the following effects of your choice, either Frightful Presence or Resistance. Again, Resistance, very powerful, a very useful group survivability, damage reduction thing you can have going on, or the lackluster Frightful Presence, which once again, it's a 10-foot radius, so people have to be within 10 feet of you to use it, and then you have to choose them as a bonus action, and they get to make the save every turn. And Frightened, in my mind, isn't a super powerful condition. I guess maybe it is. The creature has disadvantage on ability checks and attack rolls while within the source of the fear, within 10 feet, is within line of sight, and then they can't willingly move closer to you. But that means you need to be right up on them to use this. If it was 30 feet, that could be something. If this was an AoE fear effect where you could targets of your choice, even if you're keeping it at a 10-foot radius, I feel like it should be creatures of your choosing within that range should have to make it, not just a singular creature that you choose. It's only a 10-foot radius. Let it be all of them. The fear spell, wizards and others have already had the fear spell since level 5 or level 7. So I would say that, yeah, if you're going to keep it as it is and keep the aura only staying at 10 feet, then I would say it's creatures of your choice within the radius, not one singular creature. Again, and then it used to be, once you use this bonus action, you can't use it until you finish a long rest, or until you use 4 key points to use it again. They have reduced that to now 3 key points, which is the least they could do, because it was, obviously, it's less useful in my mind, so making it 3 key points is at least a simple trade-off. Also, the fact that you don't get both is also kind of a bummer, whereas in the previous one, and I honestly didn't think it was that overpowered. You guys let me know in the comments what you think, but, you know, it was giving resistance to your allies, and then it was also giving you the possibility for retributive damage all in one. This is either now giving you resistance or frightful presence, and you need to choose it when you activate it. And a reminder, without the expenditure of 3 key points, you can't use this again until you finish a long rest. So, you know, I don't know, if you find out that the monster you're going to fight is immune to fear, you chose a frightful presence aura and it does literally nothing for you. You're like, well, I chose that because I was hoping to get a debuff on the enemy. Turns out they're immune to the frightened condition. This was a waste of a bonus action and a complete waste of this ability. I need to use 3 key points to use it again. Whereas, again, if I said, you know, poison damage resistance, and that might be useful every turn, depending on how it goes, whereas I won't necessarily know that creatures are immune to the frightened condition until I find out that they are. Again, most people assume that dragons are immune to frightened, and most of them are not, even though they have a frightful presence in which to use. So if I was going to keep aspect of the worm as it is here, I would give you both the resistance and the frightful presence at the same time, and I would let frightful presence be creatures of your choice within the radius. I think that would be at least a somewhat boon to it, but I would much rather revert it to what it originally was. Now, maybe 30-foot radius was a lot. Paladins have their auras. They are stuck at 10 feet until they hit level 18, at which point they get a boost out to 30 feet. Maybe you could do something like that. At level 17, the aspect of the worm's aura goes from 10 feet to 30 feet. I think that would be reasonable. And let's move on to our level 17 ability, which is called Ascendant Aspect. So originally in the Unearthed Arcana, you got blind sight out to 30 feet. Within that range, you can effectively see anything that isn't behind total cover, even if you're blinded or in darkness. Moreover, you can see any an invisible creature within that range unless they hide from you. That has been nerfed to now be blind sight out to 10 feet. Again, I will remind you that a level 1 fighter taking the blind fighting style can get blind sight out to 10 feet. Anybody who takes the fighting initiate feat can get blind sight out to 10 feet. Wizards at this point have had true sight for multiple levels. We couldn't give our monk blind sight out to 30 feet. We had to nerf it back to 10 feet, which for a part of a level 17 ability seems kind of weak. You also got this thing called when you damage a creature, well, it didn't have a name. It was when you damage a creature with the breath of the dragon, the energy clings to that target. At the start of each of the creature's turn, it takes damage of the type of your breath weapon equal to 1 roll of your martial arts die. At the end of its turn, the creature can repeat the saving throw and end the effects on a success. So that was really nice. It was kind of there's old invocations and kind of feats and things dragons and other creatures could take. There's one called Clinging Breath, where it would literally do this. So this was nice. It was kind of a little bit of damage over time. You hit somebody, it made you want to make sure you used that breath weapon, because eventually you'd hit them, and then they could do one additional damage die at the start of the turn just for free. Now, we do have something different now called Augment Breath, which is when you use your breath weapon, you can spend 1 key point to augment its shape and power. The exhalation becomes either a 60-foot cone or a 90-foot line, In addition, it's now 4 rolls of your martial arts die on a failed save, half on a success. I'm okay with that. I was curious if they were going to do anything or provide magic items or other choices. Again, providing a magic item that helps a subclass seems kind of silly. But maybe you could have added a magic item, which is something I'll throw out there for free, that, you know, the wearer of this magic item can essentially double the range of their breath weapon, which would function like for things like a dragonborn player character, just the race, but also for this. But instead, we can spend 1 key point at level 17 to double, effectively, well, I guess it's not double, but change the range of our breath weapon to 60-foot cone, which if you've ever looked at a 60-foot cone on a grid, that is a massive area you're getting. And then again, you're bumping it up from 3 rolls of your martial arts die at this point, which would be 3d10. You're bumping it up to 4d10. Again, also being coincidentally right in line with the Dragonborn races. And originally, you also had this last ability, which was not titled to anything, but it was when you activate Aspect of the Worm, which was your level 11 ability, Draconic Fury explodes from you. Choose any number of creatures you can see within your aura, which a reminder originally was 30 feet, and that creature takes 4d10 acid, cold, fire, lightning, or poison damage, your choice. That is now, when you activate your Aspect of the Worm, Draconic Fury explodes from you. Choose any number of creatures you can see within your aura. Once again, that aura is now 10 feet. Each of those creatures must succeed on a dexterity saving throw against your key save DC or take 3d10 acid, cold, fire, lightning, or poison damage. So not only did the damage go down from 4d10 to 3d10, they now also need to make a saving throw, and if they succeed on the saving throw, they take no damage. And again, it only works out to 10 feet. Now, I didn't see anybody, in my mind, complaining in any of the comments or stuff that I saw about the original Ascendant Dragon Monk. I thought everybody thought it was pretty good. But all of a sudden, we've gotten what I would consider massive nerfs. The change to Aspect of the Worm is heartbreaking in my mind. Again, like I said, if you're going to keep it the way it is, you got to make some changes. Give them both the Frightful Presence and the Resistance. Maybe make the Frightful Presence be an AoE fear as opposed to a single target fear. And then again, the Ascendant aspect. I'm fine with Augment Breath. I probably would bump out the Blind Sight a little bit beyond 10 feet. I was also toying around with the concept of taking Fighting Initiate on my Monk so that I could have Blind Sight out to 10 feet so that later on when I leveled up to 17, I could swap out the Blind Sight for something else. But now it will be exactly the same as I'd get at 17, which is kind of disheartening. So again, I could just take Fighting Initiate, and then if I never make it to level 17 Monk, I won't be missing out on Blind Sight anyway. And then again, Explosive Fury, especially if you're going to nerf the range from 30 feet down to 10 and reduce the damage from 4d10 to 3d10, why not just make it be you get the damage for free as opposed to having to make them make a dex save or no damage, or at the very least make it a dex save for half damage. That's the least crazy thing there. I was saying just give them the free 3d10 damage. Give them, 3d6 or 3d10 acid, cold, fire, lightning damage, or half on a success. That's not a huge change, and at least it makes the ability feel like it'll be useful. Again, it's a dexterity saving throw against your key save DC. Depending on how your stats are, your key save DC may not be that high, so this ability might get saved against every turn. I don't know. I'm a little biased, though, obviously, as I am playing one currently. Let me know what your thoughts are. Do you think it's a nerf? Do you think I'm off base? What would you do to change it? Let me know in the comments down below, and stay tuned where we're going to talk to the Ranger Drake Warden, which got a series of buffs in this book, in the next video. And I meant to send it at the beginning, but for those of you who are wondering about the Wizards of the Coast package that I was going to receive in the mail, it was actually just a copy of the Dungeon Master Screen Dungeon Kit and the Wild Beyond the Witchlight dice, which I already have and have done reviews on, so I'll just be giving those away, possibly tacking them on to the Fizban's Treasury of Dragons giveaway. So, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.